When we decided to buy the cheapest BMW S1000RR on the market, most people thought we were crazy, a full-on superbike on an adventure trail. But that's exactly what we did, and the results were both shocking and entertaining. The BMW S1000RR is designed for the track, built for insane speed, sharp handling, and top-tier electronics, not climbing dirt trails or navigating rocky paths. Still, we wanted to see what would happen when a high-performance sportbike faced real-world off-road challenges. Straight out of the gate, the bike's aggressive riding position and stiff suspension made us realize how specialized superbikes really are. Corners that feel perfect on asphalt turned into a balancing act on gravel, while sudden bumps and uneven terrain demanded constant attention and throttle control. Surprisingly, the S1000RR electronics, including traction control, ABS, and ride modes, made it more manageable than expected, giving us some confidence even when the tires struggled for grip. Of course, we had to adapt our riding style, keeping weight back, braking carefully, and using precision throttle inputs to avoid losing control. Along the way, the adventure revealed both the limitations and hidden versatility of a machine designed purely for speed. It wasn't perfect. A few scrapes, some slipped tires, and nervous moments reminded us why superbikes stick to the track, but it was an incredible learning experience. By the end, we had a newfound respect for both adventure bikes and sport bikes, and the BMW S1000RR proved that, while it isn't made for off-road adventures, pushing boundaries is always worth it. The thrill and insight it brings. After our initial ride, it became clear that taking the BMW S1000RR off-road required more than just courage. It needed some clever adaptations and careful riding techniques. The first challenge was the tires. Stock sport bike tires are optimized for asphalt, offering little grip on loose gravel or mud. While we didn't change them for this experiment, we quickly learned that throttle control and precise weight distribution were essential to prevent the rear wheel from spinning out. Surprisingly, the bike's traction control and ABS systems were lifesavers, stepping in to prevent slides during sudden acceleration or emergency braking. Another factor was suspension. The S1000RR stiff, track-tuned suspension made bumps and rocks feel punishing, which required us to adjust our riding position constantly, standing on the pegs at times to absorb shocks with our legs rather than relying solely on the suspension. Handling was another eye-opener. The bike felt twitchy at low speeds on uneven surfaces, forcing us to be deliberate with counter, steering, and lean angles. Despite these challenges, we discovered that a sport bike like the S1000RR is far more capable than most expect, as long as the rider adapts. Braking early, controlling power delivery, and keeping momentum smooth allowed us to navigate tricky sections without disaster. This ride also gave us insight into what makes true adventure bikes special: longer suspension travel, rugged tires, and a forgiving chassis. While the S1000RR isn't a replacement for an adventure machine, pushing it off road taught us valuable lessons about bike control, electronics, and rider adaptability, and, most importantly, reminded us that experimentation is part of the fun when it comes to motorcycles. The off-road adventure on the BMW S1000RR was filled with surprises, laughs, and a few heart-stopping moments that highlighted just how extreme this experiment really was. One of the most memorable sections was a steep, rocky incline. On paper, a superbike like the S1000RR isn't meant to tackle obstacles like this, but with careful throttle control and deliberate clutch work, we managed to climb it without falling. Moments like these showed that rider skill often matters just as much as the machine itself. Of course, there were also plenty of challenges that reminded us why sport bikes stick to the asphalt. Loose gravel, mud patches, and small ditches caused a few near misses, and at times we had to hop off and walk the bike through tricky areas to avoid damage. The ergonomics of the S1000RR became especially noticeable. The aggressive riding position that's perfect for track performance felt uncomfortable on longer, slower off-road sections, forcing us to stand on the pegs or shift weight constantly to maintain balance. The electronics, however, proved to be surprisingly helpful. Traction control, wheelie control, and ABS adapted quickly to the unpredictable terrain, preventing what could have been multiple tip-overs. Even simple features like engine braking made navigating steep declines less stressful. At the end of the day, this adventure gave us a new appreciation for both the limits and versatility of a sport bike. While the S1000RR is far from an adventure bike, testing it in this environment taught valuable lessons about throttle control, balance, and rider adaptability. It also reminded us why sometimes the most unconventional experiments create the most unforgettable memories, proving that even a cheap superbike can offer epic adventure when you're willing to push the limits. In conclusion, our off-road adventure on the BMW S1000RR proved to be an eye-opening and unforgettable experience. While most riders would never dream of taking a track-focused superbike into rough terrain, testing the cheapest S1000RR on gravel, dirt trails, and rocky paths revealed both its limitations and hidden potential. The bike's aggressive ergonomics, stiff suspension, and high-performance tires made some sections extremely challenging, but careful throttle control, weight distribution, and riding technique allowed us to overcome obstacles we never imagined a sport bike could handle. One of the most surprising lessons was how advanced electronics, traction control, ABS, wheelie control, and engine braking made the ride manageable, highlighting the technological edge that modern superbikes possess. We also learned how important adaptability is for any rider. Subtle adjustments in stance, clutch use, and cornering approach were essential for navigating unpredictable terrain. Despite a few scrapes and tense moments, the S1000RR handled more than we expected, proving that with skill and patience, even machines designed for asphalt can take on off-road adventures, at least in a controlled experiment. Beyond testing the bike, the ride reinforced a broader lesson. Pushing boundaries, experimenting, and trying unconventional ideas can create the most memorable experiences in motorcycling. While the BMW S1000RR will never replace a dedicated adventure bike, this experiment gave us a deeper appreciation for its engineering, electronics, and raw performance. For riders looking for thrills, challenges, and a chance to test their skills, sometimes the most unexpected machines can deliver the biggest surprises. The S1000RR adventure showed that courage, creativity, and a willingness to adapt are just as important as horsepower and handling when it comes to unforgettable rides. Beyond just testing the limit of the BMW S1000RR, this adventure taught us several practical lessons and tips for anyone thinking about unconventional riding experiments. First, preparation is everything. Even though the S1000RR isn't designed for off-road terrain, understanding the bike's electronics, suspension, and power delivery allowed us to ride more confidently and safely. Knowing how traction control, ABS, and engine braking work can prevent mistakes that could lead to crashes or damage. Second, technique matters more than brute force. Unlike adventure bikes, a superbike requires smooth throttle application, careful clutch control, and precise body positioning to navigate uneven surfaces. Standing on the pegs at key moments and keeping weight centered proved essential to maintaining balance and control. Third, expect limitations but embrace creativity. While we couldn't tackle every trail or obstacle, we discovered ways to modify our approach, slowing down, walking through tricky spots, or finding alternative lines that let us enjoy the experience without harming the bike. Finally, the experiment reinforced a key lesson for all riders. Pushing boundaries can be safe, fun, and educational if approached with respect for your machine and terrain. Even a bike designed solely for asphalt, like the S1000RR, can teach you about bike control, patience, and adaptability when taken off its intended surface. For viewers, these tips aren't just about off-road riding. They're about understanding your bike, respecting its capabilities, and finding creative ways to explore new experiences. The S1000RR adventure proves that sometimes the most unexpected rides create the biggest lessons, combining thrill, learning, and unforgettable memories in a single journey. In conclusion, our experiment with the BMW S1000RR off-road adventure proved to be both thrilling and educational, showing that even a track-focused superbike can surprise you when pushed beyond its intended limits. While the S1000RR stiff suspension, aggressive ergonomics, and performance-oriented tires made many sections challenging, the bike's advanced electronics, including traction control, ABS, and engine braking, allowed us to navigate tricky terrain with more confidence than expected. This experience highlighted a key lesson for all riders. Skill, technique, and adaptability are just as important as horsepower and handling. Smooth throttle control, careful clutch use, and proper weight distribution made the difference between maintaining momentum and getting stuck, proving that understanding your machine is crucial for any unconventional riding. Beyond the technical aspects, the ride was a reminder of the joy of experimentation. Taking a bike out of its comfort zone creates unforgettable moments, teaches valuable lessons, and builds a deeper connection between rider and machine. While the S1000RR will never replace an adventure bike, this experiment demonstrated its surprising versatility, resilience, and the importance of rider input in managing a high-performance machine under extreme conditions. For viewers, the key takeaway is clear. Pushing boundaries safely can expand your skills, reveal hidden potential in your bike, and create experiences you'll remember for a lifetime. The BMW S1000RR off-road adventure isn't just a story about a superbike on gravel. It's a celebration of curiosity, courage, and the thrill of discovering what's possible when you dare to try something unconventional on two wheels.